Styling Jokic.
What a pass! Yeah! Impressive.
All right, man. So today we're going to be talking about Justin's turn back shoot mechanic rework. So as mentioned inside the update video, in the past, you were forced into the shot behind the back after he did the initial pump fake. But after the rework to the mechanic on this ability, you now are able to control when you go into the turn back shot. So let's go ahead and give you all a quick demonstration before we break down how the mechanics on this works. So in order for you to do a turn back shoot, you cannot do it while your dribble is live. You have to pick up your dribble before you're able to do a turn back shoot. So as you can see right now, our dribble is live. We're still dribbling the ball. So at this point, we can't go into a turn back shoot like we could in the past. The first thing we'd have to do is go into a pump fake. Now we all know once you go into a pump fake, it reduces your accuracy. But for some strange reason, it seems like that accuracy reduction doesn't really matter as much when you're utilizing this ability. It's similar to, who is that? Louise, is that her name? When she's doing the step through. It's similar to that. Your accuracy basically goes back up to normal after you jump into those two abilities. So now that I'm dribble restricted, you can see I picked up my dribble. I'm holding the ball with both of my hands. You're going to hold your analog either to the back left or the back right, and that's going to determine which direction you shoot the ball in behind your back. So if I hold it to the back left, you're going to see that we do our turn back shoot with our right hand behind the left side of our back. And if we decide to do this with our analog to the bottom right, he's going to shoot with his left hand behind the right side of his back. So you can already see a difference in terms of which direction you want to use this in, depending on certain circumstances. So if your defender is coming in from the left side and you just so happen to be dribble restricted, you can go into a turn back shoot to the right side to try to avoid the block as well as the disturbance, because I noticed that when I use my turn back shoot, my disturbance zone is noticeably smaller. You can see that I'm getting wide open shots sometimes, and my defender is inside the left half of my disturbance zone. So yeah, overall, just a pretty good rework, man. And we also need to talk about how difficult it is to block the turn back shoot in comparison to before, because in the past, it was the same timing as blocking a regular shot. It was the same distance as blocking a regular shot. So they didn't have to move or be inside a specific positioning in order to block it. But these days, if they're standing too close to you, it's simply just going to go through or around them, and you're still going to end up finishing the shot anyway. So let's talk about the increase in disturbance. When you read the ability, it doesn't state that there's more disturbance because he always had 10% resistance on this ability. But if you get your defender in the air, for some weird reason, when your defender is in the air, you get an insane amount of resistance. So let's go ahead and show y'all real quick. We're going to leave out of this area and go to quest. I'm going to go ahead and show y'all the insane resistance. I'm inside of a mid-range build. I only have maybe 120 to 133 point inside this build right now. And I'm going to show you a minor disturb 3 using the turn back shoot. So I'm going to go ahead and take a regular shot just to show y'all that I'm not getting minor disturbances just because we're inside the training area. So go ahead and chuck up a few contested threes to get my normal disturbances and prove that to y'all. Now, if I do this, a pump fake, and then I get her in the air, you can see when she's in the air, we do get that minor disturbance, and that counts inside the mid-range area as well. You just get an absolutely insane amount of resistance if you get your defenders in the air. It's not easy to get your defenders in the air at the three-point line a lot of the time. It's just if you do a pump fake and they're late to the block, sometimes it's easier to get them in the air that way if they're in a position where jumping up is the only way that they can get a contest on the shot. And a lot of the time, if they're just standing there and you're ISO at the three-point line, you throw a pump fake up there, they're not going to care. Right? Good players, they're not going to care. They're like, okay, you're at the three-point line. I'm marking you. I'm not afraid of your pump fake. I'm not afraid of your shot. But if they're late to the block, or if you're playing behind a screen and they're late getting to the other side of the screen, you could easily get them into the air that way, or they'll risk giving up a wide open shot. You'll have even more accuracy than you would have if they would have jumped up in the first place. But yeah, man, just to show y'all that it's only when they're in the air, we're going to go ahead and toss one up right here while she's not in the air. And you can see it's going to be normal disturbed every single time if she's not in the air and I do my turn back shoot. But let's go ahead and get her in the air. Well, never mind. I already showed y'all the air stuff, man. But yeah, overall, Pretty interesting rework. We now have control over when we do the shot behind the back, which means they cannot just simply jump up at the exact same time they would be blocking our regular shots. We can switch up the timing in those. We can pump fake. We can wait 7 years if we wanted to before we decided to go behind the back with our shot. The increased resistance at the 3-point line. Some people might look at that and say, Dream, you know that's broken. You know that's not fair. But the simple reality is it is not easy to get defenders in the air if you're ISO at the 3-point line. They have to be inside of a position where they're late for the block. If you cannot make them late for the block to a point where the only way they can get a contest is if they jump, then you will not be able to effectively use this outside the 3-point line. And that's why I play a mid-range build, because I'm making my mid-range shots. I'm consistent inside the mid-range area, and they have no choice but to jump up when I try to take a regular shot. So I'm able to do my pump fakes and get them in the air and get that additional resistance to guarantee that I make that mid-range shot. So all right, man, we're gonna wrap this video up. Y'all want to see more of this? Go ahead and drop a like, sub to the channel, and I'll catch you on the next one, man.